Yeah. It's been a while. Uh, yeah, I've been going through a lot, but honestly, it is starting to look up. Um, by the way, I saw my first comment actually, and I can't recall what it said. I read it a while ago, but yeah, it was really nice of that person to read a comment. Thank you. And don't mind my clothes in the back. I, I don't want to fold them. Okay, I'll fold them like another time. Anyways, so I just want to come on here and share a poem I made, honestly. I am very much into English and literature, and I love finding the deeper meanings in poems and art and just really anything, honestly. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to hang out with my friend, and I said, "Hey, you want to make poems together?" And then he said, "Okay." And he didn't make a poem, but I did, and I'm really proud of it. So, this poem is called Splatter. My observations could only be correct for myself. The colors of anger and sadness seemed to coat the canvas with only splatters. How hard did the artist hit it? How hard did the feelings hit him? The splatters on the painting were words that he could not speak, words that can only be interpreted instead of understood, words that seemed to hit the artist harder than it would others, despite the lack of letters. Would this have been a moment in their life, or the entire timeline? Only the age of his death could tell, but an accident would leave their words misunderstood forever. So, yeah, you can, if you're not interested in hearing, like, my thought process, then you can, like, click off or, yeah, I appreciate you listening. For the people who stayed, um, so I remember a long time ago, I was at this like little museum place where you could just get the art and like buy it and all that. And there was this splatter painting. And I walked next to my uncle Adrian, and he said that he really loves these paintings because he knows there's a deeper meaning in it. And I looked at it and I didn't understand. Like it just it looked like splatters. So then after like a lot more time in my life being able to get more into like literature and all that, I have come to like really look into it or try to put myself into these kinds of situations. So when I say my observations could only be correct for myself, that means that my interpretation of something is correct to me. There's no wrong interpretation of something. I mean, sure, the artist could come out and say, "Oh, hey, yeah, this means this," and then maybe there'd be an answer. But depending on the person's lives, it's different. So I remember in that same painting, it was a black canvas and it had red and it had yellow. I think it had some blue, maybe green. And it made me wonder, like, why is there yellow in it? And I was going to add this part. So, why I add the yellow? Was it the light at the end of the tunnel, happiness and joy, or was it death coming to save them from their pain? I felt like that didn't go, so I didn't add it. But I feel like, well, as we all know, everyone's going through something. And, that person you're walking past on the street, there's something happening with them that you don't know about. And, it's, you could say, hey, it's okay. Or you could ask to hear their story, but they don't know you and you'll never know. So, yeah. And I just like when I see a painting with like red and blue in it, I'm obviously going to think to myself, okay, anger and sadness. And when I put how hard did the artist hit it, how hard did the feelings hit him? So when I say how hard did the artist hit it, basically, if you're angry and you hit something, you're gonna hit it with a little bit of force or a lot of force. And that really shows how much pain you're in. So I feel like that's just I don't know, it really shows like you're going to see that hole in the wall and you're going to think to yourself like, "Wow, I really wonder what happened." Anyone would think that. And when I put how hard did the feelings hit him, I imagined the artist throwing the paint as hard as they could onto the canvas and crying while they did it. Like it was a form of venting. So then I said, the splatters on the painting were words that he could not speak, words that can only be interpreted instead of understood, words that seem to hit the artist harder than it would others, despite the lack of letters. So I say, there's a better way to put this because I don't want to trigger people. But if there's a scar on something, that has a deep meaning. And you could say, like, on a tree, when it's hit with an axe and then it's left alone later, something happened to it. What was going to that person's mind when they were trying to chop down that tree? And when I said it could not be interpreted, that means you can't understand it. You just, like, they understand what they meant when they were making that painting. Now it's your turn to understand for yourself what you think it means. And when it says the words that you could not speak, a lot of people's pain that they show when they're angry, when they're sad, and all they can do is just be mad or cry. There are words that they want to say that they just can't. They're even with me, there are words that I just can't put into a sentence. It's just only an action could show. And it's just, it hits the artist. No one can feel the pain that that artist felt trying to make that art, depending on what they were trying to make it into. And for this part, would this have been a moment in their life or the entire timeline? Only the age of his death could tell, but an accident would leave their words misunderstood forever. So, with this part, I really wanted to highlight the fact that when you're making a painting, you are only getting that small moment of yourself. But people don't know if this is your entire life that you've been going through. There are people who have awful things happening to them, and you just don't know. And then there's people who have awful things happening to them in a small span of their time while living. Either way, it hurts, and it hurts a lot. And that art of just the anger and the pain and just the full emotion that the artist is feeling that they're just throwing onto a canvas and just I feel like hoping that someone is going to understand it. That's it's beautiful to me, honestly. And when I put only the age of their death could tell, but an accident would leave their words misunderstood forever. I was trying to say if they lived a long life, we could see maybe they liked it. Maybe they didn't, but they still made it out and they still let their life play out. But if it was cut short by themselves, then I feel like we would get a better meaning of their painting. Maybe there was that time in their life where they were so low, but you could not understand how low they were just by the splatters on their painting. And that could have just been a memory of theirs that stayed until that time came. But if it was an accident that had taken them, then that means we're not going to understand. We're not going to know. Like, sure, they could live till they're 60 and then not live from an accident. But I feel like you have to see the person live their entire life to actually get the meaning of their painting. And I just it almost like makes me think, there's also beauty in watching people grow and seeing what happens with them. It's just it's some things are awful and some things are beautiful. I'm sure I just the thought of someone doing a splatter painting while they are at their best in their life, where they could have maybe a dark canvas in the back where it's all the bad times, but then this one memory, all the good times, all the colors that make them feel good is at the top of the canvas or at the top in front of all the other paint marks. Um yeah, I love literature. I love poems and I love deeper meanings. Again, if it's just the smallest thing, like, I don't know, life, death, maybe if it's like pain, just anything physical, anything emotional is just, you can see it from a bunch of different ways, but you'll never understand it like the person feels. And I just, I feel like that's really important. Because, sure, maybe you went through the same pain, but you don't understand the pain that they're feeling. Not that any pain is greater than the other, but that you should be understanding. And I don't know. Take that as you will. Take that as you will. But, anyways, yeah, I just wanted to share my painting. That's about it. I was about to pull almost pretty. Anyways, that's all. I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.